And the war between Israel, the US and Iran seems to be escalating despite regional efforts to end the fighting. US and Israeli strikes have struck across Iran overnight. Blasts have been seen and heard in Tehran and several other cities. More than 1,900 people have been killed in the attacks so far. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps says American and Israeli universities in the region will be targeted. That's in response to the bombing of the University of Science and Technology in Tehran on Saturday. And it follows what are being called extensive discussions between Iran and Pakistan's leaders. Islamabad is hosting talks on the crisis in the coming hours. Foreign ministers from Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Egypt are gathering in Pakistan's capital. And we're going to be live in Beirut, Dubai, Ramallah and Tehran. We're going to start with Kamal Khaider. He's joining us from Islamabad. Tell us what these talks are hoping to achieve.
Well, just before I get to that, it's important to note that Pakistan is acting as an interlocutor for these talks or the messages that are being passed between the US and Iran. Earlier last week, the United States passed through Pakistan 15 points that the Iranians said were maximalist. The Iranians came back with another 5 points which asked for reparations and conditions that there will be no future attacks on Iran. That's how Pakistan's role became more important, given the fact that the Pakistani Prime Minister has saluted the US President as a peacemaker, and the fact that the country enjoys fraternal, historic relations with Iran as well. So Pakistan finds itself in a good position. However, if you ask local people here, the mainstream feeling here is that the last 2 rounds of peace talks between Tehran and the United States failed, and that the United States President, according to many people here, is unpredictable and therefore may be looking for an opportunity perhaps to buy more time before putting boots on the ground. So that's the feeling here for the moment. However, these foreign ministers will be meeting to discuss a way forward on how to emphasize the fact that dialogue and diplomacy is the only way to de-escalate this crisis.
You were talking there, Kamal, about the relationship that exists between Iran and Pakistan. I'm seeing Iran has allowed ships sailing under Pakistan's flag through the Strait of Hormuz. What more do we know about that?
Well, that was granted by the Iranian government, that 20 ships carrying the Pakistani flags, tankers, will be allowed to pass through the Straits of Hormuz. Pakistan has welcomed that as a confidence-building measure. There is a hope and expectation in the region that perhaps there is a way out of this crisis, although the ball is in Israel's and Washington's court to see what their plans are. The regional countries, of course, will be trying their level best to make sure that the countries that are suffering because of the blockade of the Straits of Hormuz, the economic implications for these countries, including Pakistan, which imports 80% of its petroleum products from the Persian Gulf alone. So huge stakes involved, and these 4 countries will be trying to hammer out some sort of a consensus on how to de-escalate this crisis.
Kamal, thank you very much indeed. Kamal Khaider there talking to us from Islamabad.